Welcome to the Beyond Sugar Freedom podcast. I'm your host, Danielle Dame, holistic nutrition coach and speaker. Let's dive in. Hey, welcome back to another episode here on the Beyond Sugar Freedom podcast. I'm your host, Danielle Dame, and if you've been following along the last few weeks, we are in the middle of some really exciting things here at Danny HQ. We have just wrapped up day one of an incredible 3-part training called the Sugar Freedom Bootcamp that I am hosting this week. We just did workshop number 1 on Sunday, and it was mind-blowing. I am still riding so high from all the women who showed up, who engaged, who brought their energy, brought their questions, brought their vulnerability. It was such a powerful workshop, and if you missed it, don't worry, it's not too late to get access to the replay and also join us for the remainder of the week. If you're tuning in this week, you are in the right place at the right time, and you can still join us for the remaining training. And as soon as you do join, you will get immediate access to the replay from Sunday's video. And if you were there, following along with us, you know what I'm talking about. It was on fire. Everything that I shared was so powerful, and I loved hearing the feedback from everyone there in the chat and from people afterwards who watched the replay on how it's already helped them really shift their mind and shift the way that they're seeing their relationship with sugar and their approach to sugar. And this really ties in beautifully with exactly what I want to talk about today on the podcast, with these 3 reasons that most women I meet that come to work with me are still stuck on the sugar roller coaster. And I'm willing to bet that at least one of these is showing up for you. And we're diving really deep into these topics and more inside the Sugar Freedom Bootcamp this week. So if you want to know more and you want to come on a journey of diving deeper and bringing more and more awareness and tools into avoiding these mistakes and starting to do things differently so that you can get different results, you'll want to register and join us for the bootcamp. And if you didn't already know, it's free to join. And there's no excuse for you not to be there if this is something that your heart and soul is calling for you to finally stop fighting against food and sugar and really find a lasting solution so that you can get off the dieting yo-yo every year that is, causing you more harm than it is good. Let's face it, ladies, right? This is not working. It's not working, and we need to do things differently. So I share my very radically different approach that I have seen work time and time again with all of my clients. And it's just been so much fun sharing these pieces with you. And I loved it was just so fun being able to share that and life-changing information with all of you who were there on bootcamp day 1. And hopefully you will be joining us for the following workshops this week. Like I said, you'll get access to the replay so you can catch up on day 1 and then jump in and join us for the remaining days coming up this week. I wanted to read a couple really awesome comments that I saw come through on Sunday, and this just gives you a really great idea of the fun that we're having, the pieces that are shifting for people. Baron says, I'm so thankful for this community, and I don't feel so isolated on this journey. It's so beautiful, Baron, that you're noticing that connection, right? And this ability to come together with other women who are struggling with the same things. This is so important for all of us. So important. One of the big pieces that I'm actually going to talk about later. Joy mentions, I feel like this is the right group who are all in the same boat as me. I've never related or participated so much in anything. Love that comment, Joy. So incredible that you're feeling engaged and connected. I mean, I do have a very passionate and unique way of teaching and sharing. So love that you're connecting with that, Joy, and that you're really starting to soak in a deep level, in a new way, showing up in a new way for yourself. Ada says, thank you. This is mind-blowing and life-altering. A whole bunch of exclamation marks. And Tatiana says, this workshop is such a gift. Thank you, Danny. So many countless pieces of feedback and just words coming in from all the women who have been following. So thank you everyone who has been there. And I'm so excited to keep the ball rolling this week. I have even more. Workshop 2 and 3 just get better and better. I promise. and you're just going to be absolutely transformed by the end of this week. So from my heart and my passion of sharing and teaching this and helping you step out of your own way so you can ultimately really find this sense of peace with food and yourself is my purpose here on the planet. And it's such a gift, and it gives me so much energy to be able to share this with all of you. So thank you for joining along. Okay, let's dive into today. Okay, because this is actually something that we're diving a lot deeper into this week in the Sugar Freedom Bootcamp. And a reminder, the link is below if you want to come and get registered in the show notes. There's a link there for you. You can come and register really quick, and you'll be in to join us for the remaining workshops. But most of my clients come to me, year after year, after having tried everything to get off the sugar craving roller coaster. And maybe you can relate. Maybe you're in that space right now. You're like, Danny, I've tried everything. Nothing works. There must just be something wrong with me. I guess I'm broken. Forget it. Right? And the fact that you're listening to this podcast and you're listening to this episode tells me that there is a higher part of you that knows that's not true. You haven't tried everything. There is more. There is still a desire to change and to shift. That's why you're listening to this podcast. And it's in these deep conversations that I've had with my clients over the last 6 years of doing this work, it's clear to me that there is 3 really big reasons that most women are still stuck on the sugar roller coaster, even though they feel like they've already tried everything. So what I'm here to do today is to share a little tough love. I mean, that's my job. Coach Danny stepping up to share some tough love, because it's really important to have people in your life. And I'm happy to be that person that call you out when you're lying to yourself, right? Or you're sabotaging yourself, or you're really not seeing things that you might be missing. And the truth is, you need to hear this because you haven't tried everything yet. If you had, you'd already finally have peace with food. You'd finally be your healthy weight. You wouldn't be addicted to sugar anymore. You would be living this sense of freedom and control with food. And the fact that maybe you're not means you have not tried everything, right? It's so easy to get stuck with our blinders on and to think that we have. We've done all the programs, we've listened to all the podcasts, we've read all the books or whatever it is, and we're still struggling, right? We've tried all the sugar detoxes and we're still struggling. And it can feel hopeless. It can feel like we've done everything we can think of. But this is where we need to start looking outside the box, right? And start asking better questions and starting to see, wait, there are maybe things that I've been missing. There's things that I wasn't aware of that are really holding me back. Now, there's a lot of these areas, and we dive deep into this in the bootcamp this week, around the inner work and around some of the really deep root causes that are keeping most people hooked on sugar their whole lives, and bringing awareness to that in such a huge way. We do that this week, and actually on video too, coming up in the bootcamp. But today, I wanted to highlight 3 of these areas for you. 3 that I see are the biggest culprits in keeping women stuck on the sugar roller coaster every darn year. Every year, no matter what they try, no matter how many times they detox from sugar, there are a couple areas that you need to take a hard look at. And I say that with love, right? Coach Danny here with the tough love, right? I'm willing to bet that all of these probably apply to a lot of you listening. And maybe just one applies to you, or maybe none. I don't know. But I do know from experience over the last 6 years that, 90% of the women that I've worked with, all 3 of these have been at play in some way. So I want to blow the lid off these for you today. And I really encourage you, as I share these 3 reasons, to really connect with your body in this. Really connect with how you're feeling. And that might be foreign to you. And this is a lot of the work that we're doing in the upcoming Break Free from Sugar program, is actually reconnecting with these parts of us so that we can heal, our relationship with food and with sugar from the inside out. But I want you to do your best here. Okay. And maybe pausing right now to take a couple of deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth, and just connecting with where you're at today. Connecting maybe a hand on your heart, a hand on your stomach. This is my favorite way to tune into my body. It's a signal to tell my subconscious that we're looking inward, not outward. And I want you to just pay attention to any signals that your body sends you as I share these 3 reasons with you. You might notice a heaviness. You might notice, oh, that's me. You might notice a pull. You might notice a lightness or changes in heat, tightness in your jaw, emotions coming up. You might notice all sorts of things. And I want you to just start paying attention to that because that's your inner wisdom showing up for you. And the reason I want you to pay attention is because it's really important, if any of these reasons are still showing up for you, to connect with those, right? I want you to really be able to identify, yes, that's what's going on for me. So starting to notice what's the yes in your body and what's a no in your body. And it's different for everybody, but just making that intention to pay attention to your body right now as I go through this is a big step. So, number one, let's dive in. Number one, oh my goodness, am I guilty of this one? We all are. And I don't mean to use the word guilty in a bad way here. By no means do I hold any guilt or shame for doing this. I'm a human being and we all do this. We all do this. Okay. And the reason number one that you're probably still hooked on sugar is because you have become a professional at soaking in new information without ever taking action. I want to say this again because this is so big. And this is actually one of the very big, unique differences in my programs and the way that I work with my clients. This is not about learning more information. You do not learn how to swim by reading books about swimming and listening to YouTube videos and podcasts and taking courses on how to swim. Yes, that is an important part of learning to swim, but you are never going to learn to swim until you actually get in the pool. And our journey with anything in life, especially sugar, is the same. I cannot tell you how many women I have talked to that have tried all the things, right? I've listened to all the podcasts, I've read all the books, I've watched all the YouTube, I've Googled all the articles, I've done all the other programs and courses, and I'm still stuck. And I'm willing to bet that I'm lovingly calling you out on this. 99% of you listening are stuck in information gathering mode. And you're not actually taking what you're learning and doing it, applying it, taking action on it. I know I spent my life doing this because it's easier to learn than it is to apply what you're learning. Right? It's so much easier to read about swimming than to actually get in the pool and struggle and flop around like a crazy person, right? As you're learning to swim. So we need to lovingly call ourselves out on this. Have you done this? Are you doing this now? Are you constantly searching outside of yourself for more information, for that next thing, that one person, that new book that's going to have all the answers for me? And when was the last time you actually did the activities at the end of the chapter in a book? Or you actually applied all of the homework and tools that you did in that last program that you went through? I'm willing to bet you haven't. And if you have, congratulations, right? There may be some other things going on for you. But most humans have gotten in this cycle of thinking that the solution to our problems is just knowledge. We just don't have enough knowledge. And it is such BS. You have all the knowledge you need. Yes, okay, there is definitely a basic understanding of like how sugar works in the body, how toxic it is, and nutrition. And there's definitely some baseline information that can be really helpful and really important on your journey to sugar freedom. But outside of that, everything else is just extra bonus information that's not actually helping you make a change. And it's until you actually get in the kitchen and start experimenting with new recipes. It's until you actually sit with yourself and journal and feel your emotions. It's until you actually show up on the live calls in that next program that you're doing, right? This is doing the work. And you're never, ever going to achieve anything, any success in any area of your life if you don't apply what you're learning. And I get so passionate about this because it's so simple, but it's so profound that we do this. We do this all day, every day. Like, oh, that sounds so great. Good for that person doing that thing, right? And then we just sit on the couch and do nothing, right? Instead of getting out for that walk that we said we were going to, or trying that new recipe, or signing up for, some coaching or that next piece of your journey. We just sit there and continue to soak in information like it's an addiction. It's a new addiction because we believe that our success is dependent on just more knowledge. And that is not true. That is a false belief. Your success is dependent on you applying the knowledge that you already have. And also understanding that you know what you need to do. I can absolutely positively take a stand right here that if you actually reflect inward and spend some time with yourself, you will become really clear on the truth that you know what you need to do. We all know. You know what you need to do to be healthy. You need to drink water. You need to get good sleep. You need to make sure your hormones are balanced, right? You need to eat whole nourishing foods, limit the stress in your life, get sunlight, move your body. We know the basics. We know how to be healthy. You don't need any more knowledge to do that. You know it. You already know it. You have everything you need. You're just not applying it. If you're not applying it, nothing's going to change. Success is in the action, is in the application of what you're learning. And that's exactly why I designed the bootcamp this week. And obviously the Break Free from Sugar program that's opening up very soon, actually, next week. I'm opening registration for the next round. And this is our focus in both the bootcamp and the upcoming program is we get out of information overload. Because information overload is also one of the reasons that you might be stuck. It's keeping you blinded and paralyzed in perfectionism mode. I don't know what to do. There's too much. So having the clarity and action steps laid out for you is what makes what I do so unique. It's because you can actually start taking action in your journey and starting to therefore notice shifts, see results, start thinking and being and acting and behaving differently. So I could talk about this topic forever, but this is just a quick overview. And I'm hoping that this is really hitting for you, that you're tuning in and going, oh, yeah, I do that. And as you're having that epiphany right now, please be careful and cautious that you're not bringing in the guilt and the judgment. So easy to do that. Please, there's no space for that here. We're just curious and we're just bringing new awareness to, wow, Danny, that's it. That's exactly what I'm doing. Isn't that fascinating? Well, I guess I'm a human being. It's not your fault that you have fallen into this trap, right? Our society really pushes us into this trap. And I love the saying, and I say this all the time, this isn't your fault, but it is your responsibility if you want to navigate out of it. So awareness is step one, and hopefully you're having that light bulb moment right now. Many more to come in the bootcamp. I know a lot of the women on day one, just a few days ago, we were having this conversation, and they were having this light bulb moment. So I really knew that I wanted to dive into this here with all of you. And you can do something about this. This is the great news, right? You can start actually taking action and finding areas to get out of the information overwhelm and be guided in a way that's going to actually help you create results and notice a difference. That's what you want, right? You don't want to be on the sugar roller coaster the rest of your life. You want it, that ends now. It can end by the end of this year. Okay. Very passionate about reason number one. Let's move on to reason number two. Okay. This is reason number two, that you're probably still hooked on sugar. And this is something we are diving very deep into on workshop number 2 coming up this week in the Sugar Freedom Bootcamp. And we're actually learning how to apply and take to the next level inside the upcoming Break Free from Sugar program that opens for registration next week. You can get your name on the waitlist in the show notes below. But this reason number 2 is a big one. I mean, I've been working with women for 6 years now. Just over 6 years now. My own journey as well. Most of you out there, again, I'm sharing this with so much love. Most of you are avoiding the inner work. You're completely avoiding the inner work. Maybe not intentionally, but subconsciously. And that has to end. Because we will never uncover a way out of our dependency on sugar until we understand where it came from in the first place. Why am I addicted to sugar in the first place? And yes, there's a physical component. Absolutely. Our cells are hooked on it. They're calling us to eat it all the time. But there's so much more. And this is what makes what I do so unique, is a major focus on the root causes and the inner work that has to happen within each of us to reconnect with ourselves, our true identities, to shift our beliefs and our stories, and to really regain our confidence and our power so that we no longer are using sugar and food to numb out and escape, to fill our love cup, to feel like we're enough, to feel like we're worthy. This inner work is so easy to avoid because it's scary. It can be painful. It can be overwhelming. I'm not going to sugarcoat this for you, pun intended, right? Actually lifting the hood and looking inward at the pain and the real reasons that you're using food and sugar, maybe alcohol, maybe you're using Instagram and Netflix, whatever it is that you're using, really reconnecting with what that is, the trauma, the shame, the feelings of unworthiness and unlovability. This stuff is hard. And it's so much easier to focus on the external factors. Let's just focus on cooking healthy meals and meal planning and going to the gym and just getting enough water. And let's just focus on all these external pieces, that are like, I can clean my house. I can set my house up for healthy eating, right? We can do all these things outside of ourselves that become very addictive in terms of distracting ourselves from really getting to the bottom of this. And we can never, like I said earlier, I'm going to repeat this, we will never heal our relationship with sugar if we don't first understand where it came from, what's really going on. And we must, I call these the root pieces, the foundational pieces. We talk very, very in depth about this in the upcoming workshop number 2, actually all these workshops this week in the Sugar Freedom Bootcamp. But I wanted to bring it out here and really highlight this because this is one of the biggest, I don't want to call it a mistake, but I want to call this one of the biggest issues and reasons that most women I come in contact with are still hooked on sugar. They're still struggling year after year, no matter how many programs they do, no matter YouTube videos they watch, they're avoiding this inner work. And there's a lot of reasons that we do that. There's a lot of reasons that our subconscious actually wants to avoid looking inward because it wants to prevent us from pain, right? That's a human nature. That's how our ego works. So understanding our subconscious and our ego and these saboteurs and our self-sabotaging patterns is really, really key in actually having success with this new way of being with food and sugar. And that's why we focus so much on this in the Break Free from Sugar program. So just starting to notice for yourself right here, this is the invitation. Just notice, am I avoiding really diving in? And am I avoiding doing the deep stuff, the deep work, uncovering these root causes? Am I focusing on my 3D reality? Am I focusing on everything outside of myself, right? All the physical pieces, changing your environment, trying to build new habits, cooking healthy meals, which are great. Obviously, those are important things to do, but it's always going to feel like a struggle until you shift from the inside out. So that's reason number 2. And like I said, if you want to dive deeper into that, we have more of a discussion and I share some of the really biggest root foundation pieces that I see. I have a whole list that I'm going to share in the upcoming workshop number 2 for the bootcamp this week. So if you're not already registered for that, come and definitely get registered in the link in the show notes so that you can get that full list and deep dive into, well, what is this inner work? What are the foundational pieces? And how do we actually start shifting out of them? So I go into all that and more. But reason three that you're probably still hooked on sugar. Okay. And this is a big one. My husband and I have actually been watching on Amazon this series. We thought it was a new series, but apparently it's been out for a long time and we're just a little bit behind the 8 ball. It's called Alone. And if anybody's seen it or anyone has Amazon, definitely go and watch it. It's fascinating. They drop 10 adventure, outdoor survival enthusiasts. They drop them in the middle of nowhere. And the first 2 seasons are actually filmed on the island where I live, which is kind of cool. So Vancouver Island, for anybody who thinks it's a small island or thinks that it's Vancouver, you are wrong. And this show actually just like really highlights and shows the beauty of our nature and the wildness of the area that I live. So it's kind of fun if you want to get a sneak peek at that. But anyway, they drop these people out in the wilderness separate from each other, all alone, isolated in the middle of the wilderness, and they have to survive as long as they can. They have to find food and build shelter and fire and all that stuff. And it's really incredible. But every single human, every one of the contestants, I mean, we've only watched one season so far, but every contestant comes to the realization about a month in that the hardest part of that whole journey isn't finding food. It isn't staying warm. It isn't all those. It's the fact that they're alone and there's no human connection. So I'm sharing that story because reason number 3 that I see so many women not succeeding on this journey, staying hooked on sugar year after year, suffering through their guilt and shame with food, is because they're lacking the right type of support and community. I cannot hit this home enough. We are social beings. We are not meant to feel alone. We are not meant to struggle alone. And the truth is that our society has really set us up, especially as women, to pride ourselves on doing it alone. And ladies, tough love here. There is nothing strong or to be proud about suffering and struggling on your own for years with something that could be overcome and solved in a couple months if you were with a community. There's nothing to pride yourself on that. We absolutely need to change our definition of success, especially as women. We are not meant to do things alone. We're not meant to raise children alone. We're not meant to live alone. We're not meant to isolate and struggle and try to achieve things on our own. We don't. I mean, look at any big organization. The reason they're successful is because of the teamwork and the people who work together to grow and to build the business. Right? So we can look in all these areas of our life and see everywhere around us is disconnection. It's people staring at their phones when they're visiting with you, not really being present. You know, it's maybe the fact that you live alone as well and you don't get out there and join different groups or communities. So we need to take a hard look at this, especially, when it comes to our journey with sugar. There are so many pieces around community that I see women doing wrong. And I dive deep into this in workshop number 3, actually. We're going to talk more about community because there's a lot of areas that I really want to highlight for you that you're probably doing wrong when you're looking for community on your sugar freedom journey and how to actually find the right community. And I mean the right community. This isn't just about finding somebody who wants to get off sugar and you can do it together. This isn't about being accidental or just joining all the free Facebook groups. No. There is some very intentional pieces that you need to be aware of when you're wanting to be successful on the sugar freedom journey. And this is one of the big reason why I am bringing it here as reason number 3 in keeping you hooked on sugar. When you are not in a safe, non-judgmental, open and supportive community, which unfortunately women, ladies out there, doesn't exist in a lot of places. And I feel very, very proud of myself for having created and obviously co-created and attracted the right women who bring this energy into my programs, into our work together. And you're going to get a taste of that this week in the Sugar Freedom Bootcamp if you're following along. This sense of connection and community and this sense of knowing that you're not alone and knowing that the thoughts and the struggles and the guilt and the shame and the body image issues and the binges, all the things that you struggle with are not unique to you. We're all struggling with those things. It might look a little different for someone versus you, but it's ultimately the same thing. Not loving ourselves, right? Not feeling connected, not believing in ourselves. Like all of these limiting beliefs, these internal wounds, these traumas, these things that are there at the root of our addiction to sugar are not unique to us. And when we can come together in a safe and supportive environment, and this is so important, I'm saying safe for a reason, because most of us have never felt safe to be open and vulnerable and to be heard and seen and to actually be our authentic selves. And we have to have that if we actually want to succeed and we actually want to break through this plateau and this resistance that's been there for decades around sugar for us, right? Or processed food or whatever it is for you, right? So those are the 3 reasons. And, I really want you to spend some time after listening to this. Obviously, if you're driving, just turn off the radio, turn off this episode when it's done, and sit with yourself as you're driving, or sit with your journal if you can, and reflect on where each of these are showing up for you. Because there's most likely a piece of each of these that might be at the reason and at the root of why you're still hooked on sugar. Number 1, are you just stuck in information gathering mode? Number 2, are you avoiding the inner work? And number 3, are you actually surrounded in the right type of community that's going to support you and understand you and help you feel like you've got this and that you're not alone? So reflect on that and let me know. Come and let me know. Come join us on Bootcamp Day 2 and let me know in the chat when you're there live which of these is really showing up for you. So I want you to also think about what results you could get, what changes would happen for you if you stopped making these mistakes, if you stopped doing these things. I don't want to call them mistakes. These things that we just talked about, these reasons that you're hooked, if these no longer existed for you, what would change? How would your journey change with sugar? What would you do differently? How would you be showing up differently? So I want you to start tapping into that possibility. If you eliminated each of these reasons and you started actually being in the right community, actually taking action, actually started doing the inner work, what would shift for you? So I'm hoping you got a lot out of this. I've loved recording this episode. These are some pieces that I'm so passionate about, mostly because I've been doing this 6 years now and I see all of the horrible information out there. All of these people, all of these amazing women getting sucked into the next fad sugar detox or the next program that's not actually helping them get to the root of what's going on. And this is why, I'm so proud of what I do and the programs that I create being very unique and like nothing you've ever done before. So really start paying attention to where are you holding yourself back here, right? And which of these reasons is really the biggest culprit for you? And if you want to dive deeper, I keep saying this, but I'm going to say it again. Come and join us this week in the Sugar Freedom Bootcamp. It's definitely not too late to join, get access to the replays, come and get your name, save your seat, come join us. The link is below in the show notes. And finally, last but not least, I'm so excited. I cannot wait. I'm literally losing sleep over this. I cannot wait to officially open up registration for the next round of the Break Free from Sugar program. This is my signature 10-week program where I walk you through deeply healing your root causes and patterns around sugar so that you can actually be in this newfound sense of freedom and peace and with food and yourself at the end of 10 weeks. We cover so much. And like I said, we dive deep into the inner work. We dive deep away from information gathering and into actually taking action and showing up for yourself. And of course, we have the right type of community. I'm very proud in the type of safe, non-judgmental communities that I created as my number one priority because we must heal together. We must heal in community. We cannot heal on our own. And we must do it in a safe space. So creating these safe spaces is one of my superpowers. And I absolutely love doing this and in obviously attracting the right women as well into this. So if you're curious at all and you want to make sure to be the first to get in on the information, I'm going to be releasing all the information when I open registration next week, but get your name on the wait list so that you can be sure to not miss a thing. I also have some extra special goodies involved for those who are on the wait list that do want to come and join us. There's going to be some extra bonuses and surprises. So definitely get your name on the wait list. That will also be in the show notes below. And I really hope that you enjoyed this episode and that you're enjoying the bootcamp this week. This is obviously such a fun week, and I love hanging out with all of you who are joining me live and interacting, and your comments and feedback is just fueling my soul. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. All of you who listen to this podcast, who give me feedback, who have written reviews for the podcast. It just all means so much to me. And I'm so grateful to be doing this work and to be able to guide and share and give you a way out of the suffering that maybe you've been in for decades. So I hope to see you over in the boot camp, and I'll definitely see you on the next episode. All right, thanks everyone. Bye. Thank you for tuning in to another episode. If you're loving what we talked about today, please remember to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone you love. And if you're ready to dive deeper into discovering your root causes and patterns that are keeping you hooked on sugar, be sure to check out our brand new free workshop series that will help you kick emotional eating for good. Find the link to download this free series and other amazing resources in the show notes below.